What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next we have got 2 boxes back from CGC, a fairly large submission that I did recently. These are some of the magazines that I sent in. It's going to be interesting to check these out. I have not checked the grades yet. I'm also going to go over values or approximate values at the end of this video, so let's check out these books. All right, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So like I said, I've got 2 boxes here that are part of a large submission that I did recently to CGC. I've gotten back all the comics now. I've released the videos for those comics. Now I'm starting to get back the magazines. They've taken a little bit longer, but really not bad. So with magazines, before, with their old cases, it could take upwards of 250 to 270 business days to get a magazine graded. These ones took about 3 weeks. So their speed on getting these magazines back, is much quicker. So in these boxes, there is 1 high value book and 5 moderns. The moderns mean that it's from 1975 or newer, and I think 4 of the 5 are from 1975. 1 is like 1985. But I'm excited to get into these because I have not checked the grades, and from my prior experience with submitting magazines, and I barely have ever done it. I did 3 copies of Vampirella 1. That's the only other submission I've ever done. There's actually 3 copies of Vampirella 1 that were part of this larger submission too, but that's the only one I've ever done, and I undergraded everything. So I'm kind of hoping that that's the same thing here and I get some nice surprises, because I still grade them the same way. I grade them the way I would grade comics. From my very limited experience, it seems that maybe they grade magazines a little bit easier than comics. And I just speculate that it's because they're larger, there's more surface area on them, so they maybe allow for a couple more flaws than what you would get in the same grade in a comic. I don't know for sure. That's just from my limited experience of 3 books. But before we get into these, we've got to talk about the sponsor of this video, Vampirella. If you're a follower of my YouTube and Instagram channels, you know that having accurate and comprehensive data to make my comic buying, selling, and investing decisions is extremely important to me. Vampirella has exciting plans for the future to provide the most accurate and up-to-date sales data, as well as predictive models to help collectors make the best decisions with their hard-earned money. Keep an eye on my YouTube and Instagram channels for more announcements and dedicated content in the future, so make sure to subscribe to their Instagram for future announcements and click the link in their profile to register for beta access. The link to their Instagram is in the description of this video. All right, we are back, and just a reminder with Vampirella, they have a official beta release date now of November 6th, so make sure to go register for the beta release if you want access to that site on November 6th. All right, so now let's get into these books. If you haven't watched one of these before, what I do is I have my grade estimates for what I think these books will come back as after they have been pressed and cleaned, and then CGC grades them. So I have my grade estimates here. I'm going to show the book, without showing the grade at the top. I'll talk a little bit about it, and then we will reveal the grade and see how close I was. Now, my experience in the past with magazine submissions, like I said before, was that I undergrade them. And so I'm kind of hoping that that's the case again. I'm actually going to start with the higher value book. And part of the reason is I'm really interested in how this book did. And part of that reason is because this was, and a lot of these books that I sent in were from this magazine collection that I bought off of Instagram, like, I don't know, maybe about 10 months ago now. I think it was around January of this year, of 2023. So I finally got around to going through them, sending them in. I sent them to my presser, the same presser I've talked about in all the other videos. It's the comic book presser. And I had him press and clean these books and send them off to CGC. So for that whole collection of magazines, I paid like $3,000. And one of the main reasons I paid that much was because of this one book, because I thought this would cover, I think, approximately half, maybe a little less than half of the value for that collection. And then I had all the other magazines, and then some Gold Key Star Trek books. If you watched my prior unboxings I did maybe a few months ago, I had a whole bunch of really nice high-grade Gold Key Star Trek books that were part of that as well, that were kind of unexpected, so that helped out as well with the price. Now, this is a copy of Vampirella #1. That collection that I bought was like Vampirella 1 through 50. It was missing, I think, one issue, and then a bunch of eerie magazines and creepy magazines, and then those gold key books, and then a few others. So this is the Vampirella #1. That was part of it. And it was a pretty nice book. I had it as a 6.5 to a 7. I remember it presented really well from the front, had some more damage focused on the back, but let's see, I don't want to look down at this one, so let's see, where's the front? All right, yeah, and this is the second time I've had one of these magazine cases. They are much nicer than the old CGC magazine cases. So here it is. This is Vampirella #1. This is the first appearance of Vampirella. This is this Frank Frazetta cover, very popular book, very expensive book. And like I said, I had this one at a 6.5 to a 7. You can see front cover presents really, really nice. The main issues were on the back, and I'll show those after we check the grade. All right, 7.0 and white pages. So on this one, at least, I was right on my grade with this one. But yeah, let's take a look at this book. So yeah, you can tell, like, front cover, there's a little bit of spine wear. There's, a few spine ticks, that kind of thing. But in general, a very nice presenting copy of this book. It has this little chip out of the corner here. Back cover, if you're not familiar with this book, the back cover has a lot of red, solid red, so it really shows flaws and color rub. And so you can see a little bit of color rub, and you can see a little bit of that wear along the spine. There was also, and it's probably hard to see in the case, there was like a little bit of like this like yellowing. I don't know if it was from, like, you can see it a little bit here along the spine there, these like little dots. It's almost like it got exposed to sun or something, but it's not, because it's like small dots, like some type of liquid that did something to the cover there. But and then there were a couple small creases down in the corner here. So really, really nice presenting copy. Like I said, I had it as a 6.5 to a 7, getting a 7.0. Very happy with that. That will cover a pretty significant percentage of the cost of this collection, which was one of the main reasons that I bought it, was because of this book. I'll check the values afterwards, but I think a 7.0 is going somewhere around 1,400, somewhere in that range, but I'll confirm that. It's a book I follow a lot, so I'm usually pretty up to date on the prices on it. Now, this is the second box. Now, this was modern book. It's modern books. So, books that were part of the modern tier for CGC means 1975 and newer. And so there were 4 books, I think, from 1975. 3 of them were Vampirella. Then there was a copy of Foom #10. So that could be the biggest book that's in here. If you're not familiar with Foom #10, it's kind of a controversial, it's down here. It's kind of a controversial book just because it has the new X-Men on the cover. And some people think that it came out before Giant Size X-Men #1. Now, a lot of people will, and I guarantee you I'll get comments on it, that they'll argue that Giant Size X-Men #1 came out first. And it seems that it does point to that. But on the CGC case, it says that this preceded Giant Size X-Men 1 and X-Men '94. So I know people hate that CGC has that on there, but it does. And so there's definitely some question around that one, but it's a great cover. It's a really cool cover. And my biggest concern with these is just, like, I know the old magazine cases, like, they would crack really easily, so I'm just hoping there's no issues. All right, so I'm just gonna start taking these guys out. I don't know which one's gonna be first. Okay, all right, this should be Vampirella #39. This is one of the coolest covers from the early Vampirella run. It is a wild cover. And this was a really nice copy. I mean, it's like all black on the front there. So you can see just how hard it is to get this book in nice condition. I had this one as a 9.0. Let's check it out. Oh, man. So that is good undergrading. I'm very happy with that. A 9.4 and white pages. This is from that magazine collection. That is awesome. And so like here's the back cover too. I mean, all black as well. I mean, so you can see how tough this book is. And it has some spine wear. That's really what it comes down to. I think that's the majority of the issue with this book. It's just a little bit of spine wear. And there you go. And I was actually looking up this book a little bit before this video, and it's just so the cover artist is a guy named Ken Kelly, and he did a lot of covers for Warren, who did Vampirella and Eerie and that kind of thing. But he was also the nephew of Frank Frazetta, and he did covers for Kiss for their albums. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I mean, he's a big name in his own right, especially kind of in like the rock world, and just awesome cover. I mean, you've got black cover, like, I don't know, it's kind of like I don't know what she is, like a demon. It's like she's a Medusa, but the snakes are coming out of her fingers, the skull and everything. And 9.4, that's awesome. These generally aren't very high dollar books, but I'd still be interested to know what a 9.4 goes for. All right. Let's see what the next one is. Okay, which one is this? I think this is issue 40. So I think this is Vampirella number 40. Let's see. Yeah, Vampirella number 40. And again, just a nice copy of this book. I had it at a 9 to a 9.2. Again, a lot of black on the cover. It's going to show a lot of flaws, that kind of thing. So 9 to a 9.2. Not 9.4 again. That is awesome. And man, these cases look really nice. That was always a big downside of the magazine-sized books, or the books that had to go into magazine cases, is those magazine cases, they just weren't very clear. It was the older style of plastic. They felt real flimsy, and these are nice. These feel like the comic book cases that we've been used to now for a number of years. But yeah, 9.4, white pages, awesome. I'm real happy with that too. And again, you can see that back cover, black back cover. I think, yeah, this one, it had like this tiny little tear down here. It's like kind of like a bindery tear. But yep, I mean, just a incredible copy of this book. So little damage to this book. So yeah, and one of the cool things about this magazine collection, I talked about it in that video when I got it. They all came in just these, they weren't boarded. They were just like stacked in boxes, and they were in these really old bags, probably from the 70s. Like, I'm guessing they were bagged in the 70s. They were all yellowed and like kind of like sticky and gummy, that kind of thing. But you just, like, I would take the books out one after another, and it was just incredible copies of these books. I was really impressed. It kept the colors looking great, and just them being stacked on one another. I mean, obviously, really nice condition. So, I mean, the reason I picked these ones to send in is that they were the nicest copies, and it seemed worthwhile. But yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's see what the next one is. Okay, so this is Vampirella number 45. So now, again, just kind of like a cool Vampirella cover, black background, all that kind of stuff. I had this one as a 9.2 to a 9.4. Ugh. That sucks. Yeah, that's rough. I wonder what I missed. I'm gonna take a look at the grader's notes. Like, when I go to do values, I'm gonna take a look at the grader's notes on this one, see if I missed something. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, there's the black. Yeah, I think I see. I feel like I wouldn't have missed that. There's like these scratches on the book. I mean, maybe I missed those, but I don't know. I don't have pictures of all these, like, front cover, back cover before. Man, yeah, maybe I missed those or something, or I didn't think that they would hurt it as bad. Like, they don't look all that bad, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, it's like, I can tell it's like scratches, and there's scratches here too. Because otherwise, like, if I had it as a 9.2, 9.4, like, you can see it's like a stunning book otherwise. And a lot of these are really thick. A lot of these are kind of like these, like, square bound type books as well. So yeah, I mean, it's an amazing presenting copy. It's like, from the front, I'd say it presents like what I probably thought it was, like, 9.2, 9.4 type book. But yeah, that scratches on the back. Oh yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is. I'll like I said, I'll check the grader's notes as well. But I mean, the plus side of it being from a collection, and that I've gotten some grades already that are better than what I expect, and I had those Star Trek Gold Key books and all that, is that there's not really a lot of risk if I have a book that comes back like this, like an 8.5, because effectively my cost into it is very low, and so it's largely just the grading and pressing cost. So not the end of the world, but a little disappointing. That means I haven't gotten to the Foom yet. Let's see if that's what this one is, or which one's coming out next. Okay, nope. So this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 3. I actually picked this up from the same sellers that I got the Vampirella collection from Flip Mode Comics, if you're not familiar with them. So this was a really nice copy of this book. I had it as a 9.4, and I also have I have one of the variant of this. I have a 9.6 that's signed by Eastman and Laird of the variant of this. And the variant is where it, like, this is in white. There's a lot more like white on the cover. It's a different shade of blue. I actually like the color tone of the variant more. It looks awesome. But I had this one as a 9.4. Oh man, nice, 9.6. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing like super key about this. It's just it's the 3rd issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's this old style that was used for, like, the larger format that was used for issues 1 through 4 and Raphael number 1. Those are the ones that came in this, this larger format, which then of course end up in these the magazine size cases. But yeah, looks really sharp. I'm gonna check all these cases after too, because I had a lot of problems with scratches and that kind of stuff on my comic submission. But man, these look impeccable. Like, really, really nice. I mean, just like looking at them, like, I don't see anything. So that is an awesome looking book. A 9.6, white pages as well. That's, I would say, like, my one criticism of the magazine cases is it seems like, I don't know if it's just because the case is bigger, but it feels like they used a really small font for the page quality. And it's like, I mean, look how close it is. I feel like it's still probably pretty hard to read. Like, up that close. I mean, it always looks strange. Like, it should have been a larger font for the page quality. That's my only, like, kind of like negative with it, but man, it looks awesome. 9.6. All right, that means that I saved one of the best for last. So that means that this should be the Foom number 10. And if you aren't familiar with this one, I mean, you don't see them all that often, and I had never had a raw copy before. I had one graded copy before, but never a raw one. It's a cool cover. It's this like red, white, and blue, like kind of like color tone. And like I said, this has the new X-Men. And so it came out around the time of Giant Size X-Men 1. However you want to look at it, it came out around the time of Giant Size X-Men 1. And it is a tough book in decent condition, because usually it has like an address on the back, and sometimes it's like a sticker that's put on there. Now, you can sometimes get higher grades, but it seems like that does definitely hurt the grade. This one did not have that, and so that was a big plus with this one, is it didn't have that. I had this one as a 6 to a 6.5. I picked this one up off of Heritage Raw. Oh man, I don't even know what that goes for. That is a huge grade. 8.5. So I say, get your books pressed and clean before you send them in. 8.5. Holy cow. I mean, that is a big grade for this book. That is a tough grade for this book. So front cover looks amazing. I remember the damage was mostly on the back. Yeah, so there was a little chip down here. That's not a tear, that's the part of the holder for the magazine, but there's a little chip down there, and then there was some foxing. So that's what that is. That's just a little bit of foxing on the cover, and I think there's a small stain. Yeah, a small stain. And yeah, so the damage was basically relocated to the back, and here you can see this is where it would have those like shipping stickers and addresses and things printed on there, and this doesn't have that, which was a big selling point to me for this copy, because the other copy that I had was like a 6 or a 6.5, and it had that address sticker on it, but this one doesn't. But yeah, front cover looks incredible. Wow, 8.5. I'm excited to look that one up. Like I want to check the case on this one. Case looks really good. Yeah, that is awesome. And if you've never held one of these, they're actually really thin. It is a really thin book when you hold them in person. But oh man, that was the best possible book for me to undergrade. 8.5. That is awesome. All right, so I am going to cut here. I'm going to go look up values, and then I will come back and we'll talk about the values of these books.
A few moments later.
All right, we are back. Looked up prices, checked grader's notes on a couple things, and let's see how we did on these books. So the first one here, we've got the Vampirella number 1 in a 7.0, white pages. For this book, I have it at $1,400. I think it could maybe do a little more. The white pages could help a little bit. There was an auction that went a little less than that, but auctions tend to go a little bit lower. And so, yeah, about $1,400 for a 7.0 white pages of Vampirella number 1. So yeah, like I said, I paid $3,000 for that Vampirella collection. And well, Vampirella and Eerie and Creepy and Star Trek. And so that helped cover almost half of it. Now, there were grading fees and pressing fees and all of that. That comes into it too, but that helped cover a lot of it. Now, we've got Vampirella number 39. I mean, this is, getting this in a 9.4, that worked out very well. So, in a 9.4, I have this estimated at $350. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, but when I have $3,000 into the total collection, and I've got these, and I've got 22 more coming back, that are still there. I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah, and it makes me think like maybe I did real well on those other grades too. We'll see. But yeah, Vampirella number 39, 9.4, white pages, awesome cover. And I think it's one of the coolest covers in that first 50 issues, and $350. All right. Now for Vampirella number 40 and a 9.4, white pages as well. This one a little less. I have this one at $325. So also real nice, amazing copy of this one. The black, back cover. I mean, just incredible copies of these books. It's just so crazy that these weren't boarded or anything. I mean, 9.4, so $325. Then the one disappointment that was in here, we have the Vampirella number 45 and an 8.5 white pages. I have this one for $90. I think that's a pretty reasonable ask. I think there was like a 9.0 that sold for like $93. It's not like there's a lot of copies out there available. It's still a great presenting copy. So I think about $90 for this one. And so when I back out things like grading and pressing fees, it's still okay. But yeah, I mean, still a really nice copy of this book. But $90 for that one. All right, now the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 3 in a 9.6. 9.6 of this book I also have at $350. So, I mean, you can get some of these early TMNT books outside of issues 1 and 2. 1 is very expensive, and 2 is like the first April O'Neil and that kind of thing. Those two are a little pricier, but I mean, pretty affordable. I mean, $350 for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 3, 1985, and a 9.6. I mean, amazing looking copy. And it's got these cool wraparound covers. That's one of the cool things about these early TMNT books is they had, this wraparound art on them, and it just looks awesome. So 9.6, white pages, $350. All right, now for the big one here. So this is an expensive book. This is Foom number 10 in the 8.5 white pages, and you can see written up there, new X-Men cover, article title, predates Giant Size X-Men 1 and X-Men 94. And so I'm just like, it'll help my algorithm, so just put into the comments how much you disagree with that, and so it'll help the video get out there more. But regardless, 8.5. This is a tough book in this grade. White pages, $2,900, and I think you can maybe do more than that. I mean, this was a very pleasant surprise to get out of this box. I'm really, really happy with that. And yeah, awesome. But yeah, that's, like I said, one of the big selling points for me was it didn't have that sticker or like the printed label on there with, you know, person's name and address and all that. And you don't see that all that often with this book. And now I did check the grader's notes on this one, and they mentioned 3 things. They called this staining, but I'm almost certain it's foxing. And then they mentioned this little stain down here, and they mentioned the chip down here. And those were, I think, just the 3 things that they mentioned for this book. So the 3 things that I called out back there, that's what they called out in the grader's notes. That Vampirella, this was the only one, well, I'll say this was the only one that didn't have grader's notes. I've been getting them with almost anything that's not a 9.8, and even some 9.8s. That one didn't actually have grader's notes. But I can see I know where the spine ticks are. You can see that there are a few spine ticks on it. This one, the main thing that they called out were these scratches. So they did call out these scratches that were on the back. So these like I think it just said scratches. I don't know if it said vertical and horizontal. I don't remember. But yeah, they did call out those scratches on there. So that is probably what I missed that I should have caught with this one. But still, not the end of the world. 8.5 is still fine, this book. But yeah, those are all the books. Those are the values for them. Pretty happy with this. I mean, that Foom number 10, I'm ecstatic about an 8.5 in that book. That is awesome. But if you enjoyed this video, if you would like to see more videos like this, like I said, I've got 22 magazines still in a vintage tier submission that should hopefully be coming back soon, maybe in the next week or so. So if you want to see those, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. I've got more videos over here. If you'd like to watch some of my other videos, I got the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.